1999, Morpheus offered Neo a choice between a red pill and a blue pill. In 2018, this country fractured between red and blue. In 2022, I'm here to tell you that if you really want the truth, more voters are neither red or blue. Yet, they have no representation, no choice, and no options. They have to choose between candidates chosen by the red people or the blue people. I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Congress as an American, as in red, white, and blue. I'm a veteran, an activist, and a small businessman. I'm asking you to join me in reminding the professional politicians in Congress who their bosses are. I support ranked choice voting, campaign finance reform, and a verified voter information system, all so we can stop having the best politicians money can buy. It's time to elect a veteran who will work for you, no matter what color they want to label you. Please go to electesrati.com and learn more. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. In Jurassic Park, you thought those little baby dinosaurs were cute until they turned into out-of-control carnivores. That's sort of what happens to government when we elect people based on very expensive advertising campaigns and propaganda. I'm David Esrati. I'm a veteran and a small businessman running for Congress. You don't want professional ad people and pollsters to sway your vote. All those hot-button issues like gun control, abortion, borders are all politicized to stop you from voting rationally. And thinking rationally seems to be in short supply these days. Most Americans have been voting against their own best self-interest for a long time because we've allowed money to buy our leaders. 1 million Americans died in the last 2 years because our leaders couldn't lead. It wasn't that hard. Mask, distance, test, and then vaccinate. In an instant, we had billions to spend on healthcare for COVID, when for years we've been told we can't provide healthcare for everyone equally in this country. That's an unintended consequence of the pandemic. If you think about it, our government can pretty much do whatever it wants, or what the people who buy our politicians tell our leaders to do. We also had a ton of money to prop up businesses. The next thing you know, it turns out that a living wage was not only possible, but necessary. As a small businessman who won't sell you out to corporate interests and lobbyists, I can tell you that it's time to fully understand the consequences of companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Google and their effect on small business, and to remind you that small business is the #1 creator of jobs in this country. So this next election, don't trust this ad or any other political ad. Do your homework and think before you vote. It's time to put this ad man in Congress because I know that the best advertising is based on the truth, not the size of the budget or payola. Or you can just vote based on who has the money to buy their way into Congress and live with the consequences. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. Hi, and welcome to my live stream, Town Hall, where you can interact with your congressional candidate. I'm David Esrati. I'm running for Congress in Ohio 10, which includes all of Montgomery County, all of Greene County, and parts of Clark. My opponent is 10-term Congressman Mike Turner, who spent a great deal of his Sunday morning telling the public how it was just a bookkeeping error about the classified documents that were in Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. He still calls that a raid. I don't know when executing a search order ordered by a judge is a raid, but, Mike's kind of lost touch with reality because he still thinks the insurrection on January 6th was a peaceful protest. So, today we're going to talk about student loan debt removal, writing it off, and what it means and what the problems are that we still haven't solved. First off, let's be clear. Student debt has been growing at an astronomical pace. Why? Because it's been sold and resold and treated like the cannon fodder Wall Street loves. Remember credit default swaps? They were just about as worthless as student debt. And there's a real need to address this because originally the principle was the government was underwriting the debt so that you could get an education and go on and make more money and pay them back, both in straight payback and creating a smarter nation so our gross domestic product would rise. That's the idea. Better inputs, better outputs. Where things went screwy were a couple things. One is we had a lot of schools that were set up that weren't actually graduating people or training them. ITT, all these trade schools. One of them he blew away before he decided to write off some of this debt. All the debt because it was a sham. They were just charging people ungodly money for no real education at all. So this billowing debt and the funny thing was we had made it almost impossible to discharge. Any other debt you can go and declare bankruptcy and walk away from, but not student debt. It would stick with you like peanut butter on chocolate. So what happened? Well, they forgave a pile of money. They said people who had student debt and income under $125,000 would get $10,000 knocked off their debt. And if they had received a Pell Grant, which meant they were poor when they received it, they would get another 10 grand knocked off. This is not a giveaway to the rich. Now here's the part that I think needs to be reiterated really clearly for people who don't understand accounting, because accounting is basically put on earth to make some of us miserable. The reality was this money had already been spent. It was spent long ago. What we had was an asset on the books. They had a liability, we had an asset. They were supposed to pay us back, and we wrote it off. So it's not like we spent the money last week. No, we spent the money years ago, and we're just saying we're not going to collect it. Now, while it's great and fine and wonderful and sounds, okay, there's a slight problem here, and that's but what about the debt kids are racking up now and the overcharges they're paying in college now? We haven't fixed that. We haven't fixed the interest rates. We haven't fixed the way these people can pay it. We haven't done anything to cut the costs of college. Trust me, when you've got basketball and football coaches making $9 million a year, way more than the university presidents who were already overpaid, and all these administrators to comply with all these federal programs, we've built this beast that can't be beaten. It's time to figure out how to make college affordable again. And whether it be something like what we do at Sinclair, where we pay extra property taxes so that kids can get a 2-year degree cheaper, which I am all for as long as the people in Greene County and Warren County, where there are campuses or campuses nearby, they pay their fair share as well. I actually have a website, Keep Sinclair Fair. I've argued against this for years because the people of Montgomery County have been bankrolling discounted education for Greene County, for Warren County people for a long time. We've been paying for something like 53 years and they haven't paid a dime. They say, well, they pay double the tuition. Yeah, well, that still doesn't even come close to covering the costs associated with opening up branch campuses and the investment we've put in over the last 53 years. So, what's going to happen now? What about the kids in college now? Have we done anything to set an interest rate at 0 for college debt? Have we offered programs that if you go into public service, that after 10 years of public service, it's wiped out? Or if you go into the military and do 3 years, it's wiped out? Or if you do a year of public service volunteering or doing conservation corps type stuff, do you get a discount or have some of it waived? Nothing has been worked out in those respects. Realistically, if you understand compound interest, that's where it got really bad, because these people have had these debts sitting there forever. And the interest rates have compounded, and they're basically paying less than the full interest each month, and they've never paid down the principal. Some of them have paid $100 and something thousand on a $25,000 loan. At some point, we have to dig them out. There are too many Americans living paycheck to paycheck and who can't even come up with $400 for an emergency repair to their car. So, what are the real solutions? I say one of the things is we need to talk to companies like Walmart who pay their full-time people enough that they still qualify for food stamps. If you have a full-time paycheck from Walmart and you're getting food stamps, we need to bill those expenses back to Walmart. Same thing with healthcare. If they don't provide healthcare and they got you working full-time, no Medicare. Now the simple solution is let's have healthcare for everybody and get rid of the whole insurance company middlemen that we don't need. That would be a huge savings. And we'd have healthier people, especially if we include vision, dental, audiology, chiropractic, podiatry, which are all real solutions for medical problems that we haven't been supporting with conventional insurance as it sits now in many cases. So we revamp our healthcare, we revamp our educational system where we have low interest loans, and we make sure CEOs aren't becoming billionaires so they can buy Mike Turner while the rest of us are working, slaving away, trying to keep their machines going for them. There's an organization in Montgomery County called Learn to Earn. It's was run by a guy named Dr. Thomas Lassley. And all kinds of politicians say this is a great thing. And we in Dayton actually passed a tax levy to increase our taxes, our income taxes, to support this Learn to Earn. And what it was partially the preschool promise, where we put kids into preschools that were run by private businesses and funded with public money. The whole thing is ludicrous because Dayton Public Schools already had 5-star preschools and they couldn't fill them up. The second part of it is these private businesses weren't as good as the public ones. And third, I don't think anybody should learn to earn. We don't really need to be training people to be sharecroppers. We need to train people to learn to learn. Learn to become a better person. Learn to be able to have the abilities to decide who they should vote for in an election. Learn to do all kinds of things that are really relevant to life, not just earn a paycheck. So, they passed this. Now, some people also say, remember, they've had the last 3 years because of the pandemic, they weren't paying their student loans anyway. So when it comes back due, yes, some people will stop paying altogether because they had less than $10,000 or $20,000 in debt, and the others will be back to the same old thing, making their payments. But those are the people making more than $125,000 a year, at which point you should be able to afford paying back your student loans. We still haven't fixed the problem of the loans being at too high an interest rate. While home loans were down at 3%, student loans were still at 8%. There's something wrong there. There's also something wrong with the Fed continuing to raise interest rates, saying we're trying to curb inflation, when in fact it's having a major effect on the poorest of us, because most people who can't come up with that $400 also have credit card debt, and that cost is going up as well. Home loans, financing, we've slowed down the entire home building economy because of this interest rate hike. Let's put it into writing that people who are buying their primary home and that it is their investment, their largest investment, and it's a reasonably priced home, market level rate or below, they should be entitled to one extremely low interest loan. Not free, but 2 or 3%. Because at some point, your home should be your castle. We've had enough corporate investment in residential real estate in this country. We need to get back to where people can afford to go to college, raise kids without having to have 2 full-time working parents, have health care for everybody, be able to have maternity leave, paid vacations. I mean, this is what the rest of the industrialized world has. Many of them have much more time for time off per year. All of them have health care, and they get a living wage. In the time between 2000 and 2019, basically when Mike Turner's been around, we have gone from 300 billionaires in the United States to 620 billionaires. There's a reason for that. We need to stop screwing the poor and making the rich richer. Donald Trump was really good at that, and Mike Turner is Donald Trump's best friend right now. So, this November, you have a choice. Do you want to see real solutions for your student loans? Do you want to see real solutions for housing costs? Do you want to see real solutions for health care? You have a choice. D for David, for Democrat, and move forward, put it in drive, or R for Republican, Mike Turner, and put things back in reverse. Because so far, Mike Turner doesn't care about you if you have diabetes. He voted against the Affordable Insulin Act. He voted against this tax break. He voted against the PACT Act for veterans' health care. He voted against the writing off of student debt. Now, I'll agree. This is a brilliant move by Biden and the Democrats to help get Democrats elected, and I am very grateful. It's the first thing they've done to help me other than Sherrod Brown sending me a check from his political action committee. Other than that, I'm running on my own. But it is something that needed to be done. We need to place value on education. We need to increase the standards for our high school students. We need to invest heavily in trade schools and getting people to learn trades, because there's only so many jobs we can have for people in this country working fast food, service economy jobs, tattoo shops, licensed massage therapists, and yoga studios, and coffee shops. We still need to make things. We need to be thinking about things. We need people to help deal with. We need social workers. We need child care workers. We're going to need a whole bunch of people to take care of the people that have survived COVID, because as we get older, we have lived longer. We need all kinds of home health aides. We need infrastructure to be rebuilt in this country, and that's going to take visionary leadership that was talking about moving forward and believes doing that before building more bombs, missiles, and submarines, and all the things Mike Turner loves for his defense contractor buddies. If you got any questions or you want to say hello, please do in the comments there. I see them. I can respond to them. I'm happy that you're here and watching. We seem to get more views on these things after the fact. Remember, you can find out more about me at electesrati.com. There's a donation link there, electesrati.com/donate. There's my positions. There's my endorsement list, which is growing. Hopefully we'll have a few more soon. And there are lots of videos on on YouTube where you should be subscribed and hit the notify bell so you can know every time we go live. These daily videos are what I plan to continue to do once I'm in Congress, so that every day you know what your congressman did, why he did it, and who he's doing it for. And so we can hear back from you. I can hear back from you and make sure your voice is heard in Washington. This is a totally different approach than what Mike Turner has done in the last 20 years. I will be the most accessible congressman you've ever had. November 8th, please vote D, Democrat, D for David, and let's move forward and get this country out of the backward hands of the hands of the billionaires and back into the hands of the people. Again, I'm David Esrati. I thank you for watching. I really appreciate those of you who tune in, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 4 o'clock, where we will have another subject. If you've got ideas on what we should speak about, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thank you so much, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.